Good evening and welcome to Current Issues. I'm your host, Hesham Tillawi. The G20. You're probably familiar with the G8 or the summit of the G8. Now it's the G20. Do you know what they are? Do you know what it is? Give us a call and let us know. We're not going to have a guest tonight. It's only going to be me and you. And we are going to talk about the G20. So if you know anything about the G20, give us a call. We're going to put the phone number on the screen. Most of you should actually be able to recall that number without having to write it down. So, the G20 are meeting in London. The G20 started back in 1999 as a meeting between the ministers of finance in 20 countries. They selected those 20 countries because they were the 20 countries that actually affect the world the most economically. Most of them are producers, some of them are not. Some of them are there because they have money, like Saudi Arabia, for instance. The rest of them are very much the countries, the main countries in the world, the United States, Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, France, Italy, Germany, and China, Malaysia, or is it Indonesia? One of them. And Argentina, Brazil. So it's very much 20 countries that supposedly will come up with a solution to our economic problems. When I say our economic problems, I mean the world's economic problems. We're not the only ones having problems here in the United States. Actually, we probably, even though the severity of our problems is probably the most severe, but in some countries, it doesn't take much to make their economic situation severe. How did we get here? Why did we get here? And who got us here? I think for the last 6 years we have told you that these days were coming. Some of you told us that we didn't know what we're talking about. I guess we did know what we're talking about because we told you one thing, that the economic battle or the economic war will be the one that we will lose, and we will lose miserably. We lost. Now, when we lost, the whole world lost. Barack Obama put it today as it is like a patient who is badly wounded in intensive care. We had given him the medication, and now all we can do is wait for the best, wait for some of these wounds to heal, but do expect that people in intensive care, emergencies do happen. That's how he put it today. And that's how you need to look at it. Because definitely, ladies and gentlemen, it is an intensive care. And anything could happen, yes. Is it going to get worse? Yes. We said this before. We said this 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We said it's going to be miserable. We told you this when we actually went and attacked Iraq, that if we do this, our economy is going to be destroyed. We said if we go and attack Iraq, our economy will be destroyed, and our economy, it is destroyed. You know, President of Brazil, he said a couple of days ago when Prime Minister of England, Brown, actually went and visited him, and we're going to play that clip with President Lulu of Brazil, where he said that this problem was created by blue eyes, white people. Now, CNN carried that, and you will see in their analysis that they had taken what this man said literally and made it sound like a racist comment when actually and in fact it was not a racist comment. And we're going to explain to you exactly what he said after you hear it, and you will see where CNN took this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are in this predicament because we, in the Western world, the United States, Europe, Western Europe, Australia, Canada, very much what we call the Western world, and that what we call the Western world is very much the white people. Now, we wanted to have a different lifestyle from other people around the world. We wanted to drink clean water, spring water. Regardless of where we live in the United States, we want spring water bottled. We want to be able to push a button on our refrigerator and get clean filtered water. At a time when many people around the world, they would have to walk 10 miles just to get a gallon, a jug of water. We wanted to be able to push a button and order a pizza. At a time when many people around the world, they would have to walk 10 miles just to go and get a loaf of bread or a couple of spoons of rice and beans. That happened, ladies and gentlemen, because we actually were able to convince the world, after we took the goods of the world in the last 100 years, 200 years? You think about it. Now, we're not going to get into, we're just scratching the surface here. We're not going to get into details about exactly how Western Europe actually invaded the world and took, and what I mean by took, actually took the goods of the world. That's why we can create money out of thin air when other people can't even get a penny. We can make money out of thin air and enjoy the lifestyle that we did with money that we did not have, money that we could not afford, and money that the world is paying for, because we convinced the world that we knew what we were talking about, and it turned out that we had no clue what the hell we were doing. Now, what is the G20 and what they're doing in London? Well, let's play a little clip to show you what exactly what they're doing and what the G8 is all about. And also, this is the first time that the Obamas actually visited the Queen. It was quite a scene. We came a long way. Let's go and play the clip.
In your opinion, what does Obama need to accomplish on this trip?
He needs additional cooperation with the European nations, increased cooperation on financial stimulus.
Get down to business. It seems to me that recently he's been selling all his ideas to us, the public, and he really needs to sit down with some leaders for...
Brazil's president is causing quite a stir with some colorful language, literally, on why poor countries should not have to pay the price for the international financial crisis. Let's bring in Zane Vergie. She's got the details. I see some beautiful blue eyes behind you, Zane.
Well, Lula Ignacio da Silva certainly doesn't think they're beautiful. Brazil's president is blaming the worldwide economic crisis on people that look like this. White people with blue eyes, he says. The Brazilian president adds that black people shouldn't have to pay for white people's mistakes.
Resolver o problema da crise é resolver o problema da imigração.
This crisis was not created by blacks, nor Indians, nor poor people. It was a crisis that was created and spread throughout the world due to the irresponsible behavior of white people, blue-eyed people that thought they knew everything, but are now showing they knew nothing.
President Lula is a man of very strong words, but we had a very productive meeting.
And the future?
We have got to formulate the global rules for a financial system, and they've got to be built around values that in our everyday lives we think are important. Now, this has never been done before. We haven't had a global system of sorting out our financial system. This is the challenge that we're now involved in, and I believe at the G20 we can make
Candidly, Your Majesty, is there no element, not of revenge, because that is not a noble impulse, but at least some element of satisfaction in seeing the giants of the West in some disarray?
Well, no, because their disarray is, I think, needs a restructure of their society.
The brown-eyed peoples are teaching the blue-eyed peoples something, is that?
Well, no, we are not teaching something. The blue-eyed people have to wake up.
Wake up to?
From their complacency for this torpor in which they put themselves by taking maybe too many sleeping pills.
That was the protest in London. People around the world and people in London, they don't like what is going on. Now, you know, President of Brazil, he was not racist. He was historically correct in what he stated. Now, stupid CNN took it as he was being racist and saying, oh, blame it on these beautiful blue eyes. They destroyed the economy in the world. That's not what he was saying. Historically, for the last 200 years, who invaded and colonized the world? It was England. It was France. It was Denmark. It was Germany. It was whatever country. It was Italy that went in and colonized all these people around the world, including South America, including North America until we got our independence. But we became a colonization power too. That's what he was referring to. He was saying, you in the Western world made the rules, made this economy, and we are playing by your rules. We're playing the game with your rules. It turned out that you don't know what the heck you're doing. That's what he was saying. Let's go to the phones on line 1. Caller on line 1. All right, let's go to line 2. Caller on line 2.
Dr. Tillawi.
Yes, sir.
The only thing I hope is that the president of Brazil had gotten more specific, because when Phil Graham went to the Congress and they passed the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act that separated, that took the wall down between commercial banking and investment banking, with the help of former Secretary of the Treasury Robin Rubin, Goldman Sachs, you see what I'm saying? And Lehman Brothers, and all them big Jewish-controlled firms, you see what I'm saying? Right. Nobody want to point the finger where the finger needs to be pointed. It is the Jewish-controlled investment bankers that caused this to happen with all these financial instruments, derivatives, credit default swaps, short selling. You see what I'm saying? You, me, and Tom, people like us, were trying to find out who short sold the airlines on 9/11. You remember that?
Right, of course.
They haven't found out yet who were the ones who were short selling the airlines on 9/11 to make a whole bunch of profits, right?
They found out who they were, but they're not going to say who they were.
They're not going to say who they are.
Yeah.
Now,
Hopefully,
when you and I have talked about conspiracies like that, people have sat there and said, oh, y'all out of your mind, y'all crazy, 9/11 wasn't an inside job. George Bush allowed the Securities and Exchange Commission with Christopher Cox not to investigate any of these guys. Wall Street gave Congress over $5 billion since 1995 in contributions, you know what I mean, to get all these screwed up financial instruments started. So the president of Brazil is right, but by the same token, he should have said that it is the Jewish control of Wall Street that has caused this, just like Timothy Geithner when he was the head.
Now, you know they're not going to say that.
Well, I mean, somebody's got to tell the truth, Dr. Tillawi. It just can't be you and me and Tom.
We're not ready. The country is not ready for people to start blaming the Jews yet.
Now, I want to ask you a question. Why are the right-wing talk show hosts, Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh, Laura Ingraham, and all of them blaming Barack Obama for not telling Europe that this wasn't our fault, but it was our fault what happened because we are the ones who securitized those subprime loans and all that stuff and sold them all around the world. They're saying that Barack Obama is a traitor for not standing up to Europe. Now, what do you think of that? And I'm going to let you answer. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm glad he answered that question because actually I was going to talk about this, and unfortunately that even some people that we thought they really understand the game, but yet we see them running after Sean Hannity and running after Rush Limbaugh and trying to hurt what Barack Obama is trying to do. Now, Barack Obama was very clear from the beginning, and he was clear today when he said it's a patient and intensive care. We elected that doctor to take care of the economy. Get out of his way. Now, maybe we don't like what he's doing. Maybe he doesn't like what he's doing. Maybe we don't have a fix for the economy. But get out of Barack Obama's way and let him do it the best he can, because we elected him to do that. But when we know that the economy, he did not make this. He inherited this. And shame on Sean Hannity, shame on these neocon right talk show hosts who are beating up on Obama and what Obama is trying to do. Give the man a chance. The patient is in intensive care. Let the doctors take care of it. We don't want your opinion. Your opinion, you said it in the ballot box when you elected Obama. Now let him do the job that you elected him for. You don't like what he's doing? He doesn't like what he's doing. But when you have 10 doctors in there and every one of them is trying to say, well, let's do this and let's do that, that patient is going to die, and you're not going to help anyone, not even yourselves. So I'm surprised to see that people who should know better, they are running after what Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh wants to do. Get all these parties going on to say, no, Obama, we don't want you to do it. Where the heck he's going to get the money from? If he does not go to you, the taxpayer, and say, look, they lied to us. They screwed us up. Now we're here. What are you going to do about it? Are you with us? Or are you going to stand in the way and prevent us from doing the job that we need to do? And he even told you, look, I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to give it the best shot that we can. And he has plenty of people around him who understand what is going on and what is happening. Get out of Obama's way. Now, you know, I'm not a fan of Obama. You know who I was voting for. But now he's the president. Let him do the job, because you know what? You stood on the sidelines, Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh, and you let the idiot George Bush do what he did in the country. Screw us all up. Destroy all these countries. Destroy 1 million Iraqis. And While he's destroying the world, he also destroyed us with him. Come on, wake up. All right, let's go back to the phones with a caller on line 3. Caller.
Hello, how you doing, Dr. Tillawi?
Pretty good.
You know, in 1933, when Hitler came to power, they used to have to push a wheelbarrow full of money just to buy a loaf of bread.
That is correct.
And you know, he blamed everything on the Jews, and then he robbed and killed 6 million. So now you are up here blaming everything on the Jews again.
Listen to me.
Everything that's going on in the world, you have
Larry, I don't have.
going on against
Larry,
the
I
Jews.
don't have time for you. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. I don't have time for you. Go study. Go find out what's going on. You know, the ship is burning in the middle of the ocean, and this guy, all he's worried about is who killed 6 million and who did what. I was not the one who mentioned the word Jews, so don't tell me that I was. It was the caller who mentioned it, and rightfully so. We were talking about President Lula of Brazil, but your brains, less than half of a gram, cannot differentiate between, you know, you're stuck on stupid. Get off of it. Get off of it. The world is burning, and he wants to go back to 1933 when they used to go on by. Well, guess what? You're going to be doing that yourself. Just wait. You've been following this program from the beginning. For 6 years, we have been saying the economy is stupid. We're talking about the economy. Wake up. Make me sick. Let's go to line 1.
It's Liberty.
Hey, Liberty.
Hey.
Hi.
Well, I do want you to know you got a blue-eyed, red-head Caucasian. That's power to you, brother. Because I feel the same way as Brazilian president and many, many more.
Well, you know, Liberty, he wasn't being racist. What he was,
I didn't
you know,
take it that
if
way.
people know history, but unfortunately our schools,
All of the global economy.
our schools don't teach history anymore. This mess that we are in is over 200 years old, and it was Europe that started this whole thing. That's what he was talking about.
Well, they don't teach civics or American history, and Justice Senator Day O'Connor at courts.org is now trying to bring this back into our public schools, which I was totally appalled because that is such a foundation of being an American and a citizen is to know our history, whereas we won't repeat our mistakes, correct?
That's correct.
Well, I'm waiting to see, because Strasbourg and 2 other hot spots there in Europe for The Hague, the big anti-NATO push, and there's over 25,000 security military police in what's fixing to happen towards the end of the week. But power to our brothers and sisters in the UK and in Europe who are standing up to these global infectious globes, worms that have just beaten us past a dead horse in regards to our finances.
Very good. Thanks a lot.
Peace.
Appreciate it. All right, thanks for the call. You know what's going to happen? This is the first step. Now, don't tell me that you really believe that this world economic stuff is just market went bad. No. The people who designed it just pulled the carpet right from underneath you. We told you this day was coming. Now what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen, and we told you this. Go back. You know, I wish if I have like a researcher to go back and research my videos on the internet and just go back as far as they can to get every time we talked about the economy and we told you what's going to happen years ago. The only way they can control America is if you have to go to work to get a loaf of bread. That if you have to go to work to actually pay your bills, just like everybody else in the world. The problem is we have been, now of course a lot of you say, look, I go to work. Yes, you do go to work. But believe me, people around the work 10 times harder than you, and they get 1/10 of what you get. Is that fair? You say, well, yeah, no. Well, look. This is the world we live in now. What they're going to do, what the G20 going to do, and they are going to actually start getting into the national sovereignty of countries and tell you exactly how you are going to do, and they're going to tell you how much to charge for bread, how much to charge for beans, how much to charge for this and how much to charge for that, because that's globalization. That's one world government. It starts with the economics. Get used to it. America is no more like you know it. The world is no more like you know it. Okay, I don't know if we have anyone online, but I'll tell you what. The president and the first lady, they actually visited the Queen. So let's go ahead and probably move the, I know we had many clips that we're going to show, but let's go ahead and actually fast forward to Obama and Michelle visiting England and visiting the Queen. It was funny when they got there to the Queen and they were shaking hands, and she was, I guess she was asking them something about last night, or they were supposed to go visit her last night and they did not. So Michelle looked at her and she said that he was busy last night. You know, it gave me a sense of what these world leaders actually talk about when they meet. So if that clip is ready with Obama getting there, let's go ahead and play it.
Good morning. Handshake, Michelle Obama in a glittery top there and a green check skirt. And I think those who are interested in fashion, leopard print shoes. Are you going to achieve much over the next day or so? What are you going to achieve over the next day or so for the economy?
United States of America, Mrs. Obama. Thank you so much.
Stop following Obama, then that's right.
Time lapse, it is, but he's been busy in meetings.
I had breakfast with the Prime Minister. I had meetings with the Chinese, the Russians, David Cameron, and I'm proud to say I did not often any of them.
forget.
It's all of them. Of course, of course.
Well, it's part of the circle. It's always the same thing, isn't it? Always.
Who will emerge best from this crisis, and who the worst? Joining me now is the former finance minister of Italy until just over a year ago, one of the minds behind the creation of the euro, a real economic heavyweight, Tommaso Padoa-Schioppa. Mr. Padoa-Schioppa, it's so good to have you with us. Tell me, in this current crisis, as you look at it, who do you think, which are the countries that are going to come off best in this crisis, and are there a certain group of countries that are going to come off worst in this crisis?
Well, first, it's a global crisis that will hit every country, just like an epidemic hits the healthy and the weak people. But I think that those who will come out better are the countries which have little debt, little private and little public debt, because essentially this is a crisis of too high indebtedness, particularly in the United States.
So therefore the United States are the most vulnerable, do you think?
Not necessarily, because it's a very resilient economy, and there are economies which may be hit by the crisis and in the end be hit even harder. But certainly the crisis starts in the United States and comes essentially from disequilibria that have developed within the United States. So to get out of it will be hard for the United States, at least as much as for many other countries.
How about your country? Where in the list, from those who will suffer most to suffer least, where does Italy stand?
Well, nobody has a list, and to the extent to which the market may have a list, this crisis has shown that the market is very often wrong. So I cannot place my country in a particular position in the ranking, and the ranking may change one day after the other. The burden of Italy, my country, is the very high public debt. The point of strength is that private debt, which is huge in countries such as the United States and several European countries, in Italy is very low, and this is a point of strength.
What about the situation with the economic stimulus plan of President Obama? Obviously very little, 3 Democratic votes for it, 3 Republican votes for it. What do you think of the thinking behind the Obama plan? Do you think it will succeed as an economic stimulus?
First, I think an economic stimulus is needed, and although, as I said, much of the crisis is due to excessive debt, including public debt, in the short run it is necessary to be ready to increase public debt even further in order to support economic activity. And this is what the Obama package is doing. It's a huge package. It was approved very quickly, and all these are positive elements. Some people say that it is not sufficient. I think it's too early to say that, and certainly much will depend on implementation. What has been legislated needs now to be implemented, and it can be implemented fast, efficiently, or slowly and inefficiently, and this is, I think, is the game.
All right. Well, let's talk about the Obama and the Queen, or the Obamas and the Queen. Of course, it was funny. You know, you never know what these people talk about, but what they, I guess the Queen asked them about last night or something, and Mrs. Obama said that that he was busy, and the Queen came up with something else about breakfast. I don't know if she asked him, "Have you had breakfast yet?" You know, it's like any grandmother out there, worried if they had breakfast. And I guess he said that he had breakfast with Brown, the Prime Minister, and then he had a meeting with the Chinese and the Russians, and I guess it's like somebody who was explaining what he did to his grandmother. And I guess the cutest thing was when she said, just like every time, I guess, stand up and, take the picture. So I guess she's used to that and probably tired of standing up and receiving dignitaries to take pictures with. But I think the Obamas, I don't know what you think, but I think they did pretty good. They were the first man and first lady, so they did pretty good. I was very proud of them. Now, with the second one with Thomas, so the Italian, the former Italian finance minister, he said what the problem was, and definitely he's right on target. You see what happened in the United States, he talked about public debt and individual debt. And that's the problem we are in, that no other country, probably a couple of other Western countries, they share with us this problem, which is private debt, which is your individual debt. See, in other countries, and in many countries around the world, if you don't have it, you don't get it. If you don't have the money to pay for a car, you don't get the car. If you don't have the money to pay for the house, you don't get the house. And that's how it should be. Now, you might get a little bit of help, but in the United States, we said, open wide, and we're going to give you anything you want. And that's exactly what happened. So it's not just our public debt is so huge in the trillions of dollars, but also look at you individually. Look at you and see how much in debt you are. Now, if somebody is in debt, how is he going to be able to help others and help the economy? You can't, because you're already in debt. Now, why did that happen? It happened because that's how we made money in this country. Every time you went and signed a loan at the bank, you actually created that money for that bank. They give you a little, we went through this. I'm not going to go through this again, but I'm going to briefly tell you how we made money in this country. You go to a bank, you borrow $1,000. They give you a check. Now you sign some papers that you will pay that money back plus interest. As soon as you signed those papers, that money was created. You took your check and went to another bank. That bank, according to our rules that we are paying dearly for, the rules that we enjoy playing with them and making money. You take that $1,000, you go to another bank. You put that $1,000 piece of paper that is only a number in another bank. That bank that you put that little piece of paper, deposited that in another bank, that bank can loan $950 of that money. They can leave 5% and loan 95%. Somebody else borrows the $950 and goes to buy furniture with. You give a check to the furniture man. The furniture man takes your check of $950, takes it to his bank. His bank gets the $950, and they will be able to loan 95% of that. And it goes on and on and on until your $1,000 loan made over $1 million probably. You do the math. Don't quote me on that. But you see how easily we were able to make money out of thin air. Now, think about all the mortgages out there that were created. Think about all the money that corporations had borrowed that created other monies for the banks, and the banks in turn took that money and actually loaned it to other people, and eventually, since we don't really deal with the real dollars, 99% of our dealings is basically with papers, just checks, go and deposit in one bank, take it to another bank. So 99% of our money is just between banks that was created out of nothing. And we even sold it to the world. We printed so many dollars and $100 bills. We printed so much that is not even worth the paper that it's printed on. But the world believed it, and they took that $100 and they actually started dealing with it because we convinced the world that our dollars just as good as money, and they bought it. Now we're paying for it because it turned out to be that our money just evaporated. Other people's money that we went and convinced and coerced in other occasions for people to actually invest their money, like we did with the Arabs in the 70s. We told them, number one, you are to back up our dollar. We're not going to back it up with gold like we did, because France came in and took a lot of gold from us. So Nixon said in 1968, well, wait a minute, we can't do that. So, or 69, one of the two. So what he did is he said, no more gold for dollars. And they went to the Arabs in 1972 and told the Arabs that you are not to sell oil with any other currency except our dollar. And on top of that, if you want us to protect these oil fields from the Russians, you're going to invest 30% of your income in our country. And they did. And this is an actual agreement between the United States and OPEC, mainly the Arab countries. And they did. Now all that money is gone, evaporated. Now do you see why we are in the mess we are in? Don't know if we have any callers, but we do welcome your phone calls if you would like to get in on this conversation. The number is right there on the screen. But because of the fact that we do have huge individual debt, our problem is going to be tenfold. Because other countries, like I explained earlier, people in other countries many countries don't even have credit cards. Over here, we send in credit. You know, my son is 6 years old. We received a solicitation in his name from a credit card company. And I know my other son got his credit cards probably before he even graduated from high school. I think it was after, but let's stretch it a little bit. I think the point I'm making here, while our children are still in college, these credit card companies are giving them credit lines before they even have a job. You see how easy it is in other countries. Unless you have the collateral for whatever you're going to borrow, no one is going to loan you. You want to buy a house? Fine, what do you have? You have another piece of land? You have something else that you can? You have any assets that you can borrow against? Yeah, I have a job. Well, a job is not enough, but because you might lose that job and then you're going to leave us holding the bag. That's how things work in other countries. Now, is that fair? Is that fair that we enjoy the lifestyle that we enjoy? No, it's not. Not when other people in the world can't even enjoy 10% of what we enjoy. Other people in the world, and I'm talking about countries, developing countries. I'm talking about countries that are under development. You know, when I said about going and getting water, you know, that you probably thought about, you know, someplace in Africa where they only have that jug of water to go and do. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about countries that are supposedly okay economically. People still have to worry about water. People still have to worry about eating that day. We throw so much food out here in the United States, it would feel like it would feed the rest of the world. That's going to change. And get ready, because it will change. You can no longer do what you have been doing. And it's going to happen. Just think, look around you and see all these factories that are closing. GM. Oh, by the way, Obama today, he blamed this whole thing actually on the top management of AIG. He did. In his press conference today, he said that the blame will squarely go on the top management of AIG. I think we must realize that we are in big trouble. All I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is to hold on to what you have. I don't know how much it's going to be worth, but hold on to what you have. Be very careful in what you do, and whatever you do, stay out of Obama's way. You know, I'm really disturbed with when I see people trying. You know, look, I don't think personally. I don't think what he's doing is going to work. Really, I'm serious. Personally, I don't think that what Obama is doing is going to work, because I know how huge the problem is. They're not telling you half of the story. Now, we will tell you a little bit. We're going to give it to you in small doses, but Larry, be ready to hear the truth. Be ready to hear who controls money, who controls the media, who got us into this mess, and what's the big plan. We will see, ladies and gentlemen. We will see, and finally, we're going to have to come to terms with the fact that Israel is not our friend, that the media, probably some of the churches out there, because of power and greed, they sold their souls to the devil. And they taught their congregations that Israel, the murderous Israel in Palestine, is actually Israel, the one that God talked about in the Bible. Now, who in the world made you believe that? The media and your pastor. Okay? I've heard this so many times. I even received a letter from someone telling me that they're going to pray for me because I say these horrible, horrible things about Israel. Well, get ready to hear more horrible things about Israel, because it is a horrible country, and you need to get off of this stuff that's what God talked about. God did not talk about Israel. That is right there. He talked about Israel in the Bible. Learn your Bible right. But how would you learn it if your pastor is telling you these things? Watch this program and you will learn. We're going to have to come to terms, ladies and gentlemen, that Israel means us harm as the United States of America. Israel does not give a damn about us. They pressured, they duped George Bush to go to war against Iraq because that was an objective that they wanted. Sure, it ended up destroying our economy and destroying the whole darn world. So what? Now, Netanyahu is giving a challenge to our president, and every one of you should stand up with our president and help him in this one. Netanyahu he became the Prime Minister of Israel a couple of days ago, yesterday. He told Barack Obama that if he does not attack Iran, that Israel will attack Iran. Obama responded by saying, we're going to talk to the Iranians. We're going to meet with the Iranians. Barack Obama's playing it right, ladies and gentlemen. He's doing the best that he can do for the United States. And with this new government that Israel just received yesterday with Netanyahu as the prime minister and Avigdor Lieberman as the foreign minister. This is the most horrible government that you're going to see in the history of Israel. Avigdor Lieberman. That's like, you know, Saudi Arabia making Osama bin Laden the foreign minister. That's exactly what Benjamin Netanyahu had done when he picked an extremist, someone who wants to kill the Gentile in Palestine because he wants that piece of land only for the chosen people. Yeah, they were chosen for something. They did not fulfill their promise. Don't think you're going to continue being the chosen one. Just like if I choose you to give you $5 if you go pick up something for me. Well, you don't pick it up, but yet for the rest of your life you want to say that I owe you $5, but you did not pick up, you did not fulfill your part of the bargain. Read your Bible. And read the history of Israel to see who these people are, really are. And how much they have to do with Abraham and Moses and even Jesus, who's only been there, you know, was there for like 2,000 years. Go learn. Oh, that's his people. No, that's not his people. Those are blue eyes, white people that came from Europe. Jesus was not blue eyes. Yeah, you see that in the pictures. Yeah, that's what they do. Was he blonde and blue eyes? Or was he the guy with the afro hair? Which one was he? I guess we'll never know. Oh yeah, his picture is at the church, and that's how the image of Jesus is in your head. Now tell me that's gospel too. Tell me that's exactly how he looks like. Well, if you don't think that's how he looks like, then that's not Israel. That's not Israel. Anyway, well, I guess we only have a couple of minutes left to the end of the program. We will continue, ladies and gentlemen, talking about the economy and seeing exactly what is happening. But keep your eyes on Israel and Iran. Israel might actually do something to drag us into this war with Iran. This is probably the first time that I think probably Israel with Benjamin Netanyahu would try to do something. I hope not, because the Iranians are not going to sit there and take it. And of course, Israel might be surprised when Barack Obama says, "You made this bed, you lay in it." Don't know if he's going to be able to say that, but let's hope for the best interest of our country and the world that Barack Obama will try to disassociate himself from this country called Israel and actually stand up. You know what these people said yesterday, this Avigdor Lieberman? He said that whatever happened in Minneapolis, which was, remember the conference, the peace conference that George Bush dragged everybody screaming and hollering into this conference, and he said, this is it, this is we going to have peace, the two-state solutions. Well, Avigdor Lieberman said, that junk is out the window. We don't believe in it. We're not going to even take a look at it. What they want to continue with their occupation, military occupation of Palestine. They want to continue killing Palestinians. Why did they get away with what they did in Gaza, ladies and gentlemen? How come they got away with it? You know, this stuff happened right in front of your eyes. But yet, we have no clue what's going on in Darfur and Sudan. We see the International Criminal Court issue an arrest for the Sudanese president, when actually most of people in his country saying that he's trying to do the best to solve the problem, because there is external threat against his country, because Darfur has oil, it's got uranium. These people want that. Anyway, this is all we have. And next week, I hope we were able to increase your knowledge of world affairs today and explain how this world turns as the world turns. Anyway, good night, everyone. See you next Thursday.
The views and opinions expressed in the previous program are